Welcome to today's episode of Specify Talks. This is the construction industry podcast that goes beyond the buildings. We dig into the stories, the skills, and hopefully a few secrets of the people, building, or environment. This is where construction meets conversation. So whether you're in the construction industry or you're just curious about how things get built, this is the place to be. I'm Jonathan Bain, and joining me today is our co-host,
Jared Graham,
and our guest today,
Jonathan McGarry.
Jonathan, welcome to today's podcast. And this is a bit of a different one today, listeners, because we're looking at a different side of the construction industry. We're not just looking at the bricks and the mortars and the blocks that we normally associate with the industry. Jonathan is the commercial manager for MGM Marine, and their job is cruise ship fit-outs. So, welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And if you want to take a minute and just give us an introduction to your background, your career path, and what your job is now.
Yeah, sure. Welcome. Thanks, guys. So, yeah, I've been within the built environment industry for the last 20 odd years. Two real different employers as such, one being previously Patent Group, with them up until 2012 whenever they went into, sadly, administration. And since then, been part of MGM Marine. Under different aspects, we have various different parts of the group. We have the RAFBN group as the overseeing company. We have obviously MJM, which I'm part of, for the commercial manager within there. We have MyVan, we have Top Glass, and we have NTS. So various different entities that work in different aspects of the built environment. Ourselves more focused within the marine cruise side. And as I say, I've been there, worked my way through from a quantity surveyor, joining them in January 2013 all the way through to the strategic commercial manager post that I have currently. So my involvement and my role has been more now interacting with the clients and trying to help them with not just the key sustainability piece. So we have a client at the moment who's talking about their cruise ship and the impact of an addition of additional cabins on the top deck. What impact does that have on the weight of the vessel, the drag of the vessel, the fuel usage of the vessel? So it's taking it away from just the physical building of the product, but also what is the knock-on effects and the end use for the client. So various different aspects. And then I suppose from my side, I manage a team of currently 6 estimators and 14 QSs. So various different roles within the business that I foresee, and they're at different levels too, ranging from young students coming in as HLA apprentices through to experienced senior QSs. So trying to bring them on.
See, quick question there, Jonathan. To go back a step then, do you see yourselves as working in the construction industry, or is that a sector within the construction industry in terms of that marine fit-out, if I'm right in saying?
Yeah, we do. We see ourselves being very much part of the construction industry.
As opposed to like the manufacturing industry?
Originally, back whenever the company would have first formed itself back in the 80s, we would have seen ourselves as being more of a joinery fabricator, because that's how we originally, and how Brian McConville originally built the company, was around a joinery fabrication office. And then over time, we have grown into this large turnkey company that can fabricate from design the whole way through to on-site delivery.
Yeah, so that's very much a specialist sector within the wider construction industry.
Correct,
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And does that require a different skills base for the management staff and the delivery staff on site, or do you say on site or on ships? Which is it?
Yeah, on site still, but it's the age-old similar but different.
Yeah.
You know, it's still your core principles. You know, you still understand your first principles of what it's going to take to design, to fabricate, to install, the time it takes, the programming, the material delivery time scale. I suppose the nuances of our business is where the location of the actual site is and the impacts that has in terms of the freight delivery. You know, where are you shipping around the world? Is it going to take you 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Potential knock-on effects of weather on that cargo ship getting impacted to a knock-on delivery. The site travelling aspect, you're not exactly hopping on a plane like I used to go across the water to Liverpool or to London. You're hopping on a plane to go to some nice destinations like the Bahamas or Hong Kong or Singapore. Very nice destinations in their own right, but ultimately you're going to a shipyard to work in. And it's just changing that mindset, I suppose.
And see some of those big brands. Give me some of those brands. Are you working with, did I see Virgin Cruise Lines, Royal Caribbean, all those big household
All the
names?
major players, yeah.
Wow.
So like Royal Caribbean, Carnival Group, Virgin, we've all worked with them within the last 6 months, a year.
So take the one and only time I did a cruise, my wife and I did it on Norwegian Cruise Line 10 years ago. Fantastic experience. We sailed out of Rome, I think it was. Norwegian Epic, I think it was. Fantastic cruise ship, 4,000 people in it. So if you're doing fit out work for Norwegian there, give us an insight. And how's that start? Like, is there a tender process out there? Is it word of mouth? How do you end up finding out about that, engaging with the client to use actually going out doing doing that work? How's all that start?
I suppose like any construction company, it's back to your PR team and your marketing team initially. And with ourselves, there's quite a few trade shows that we obviously need to attend and market the brand. But then that awareness then creates an initial phone call to an invite for the same process as an RFQ, request for quotation, still the same tendering process where you're competitively bidding amongst others, and you're then trying to differentiate yourselves by showcasing your quality, your awareness of the industry, to not just the price. One of the challenges we have within our industry, different to land, would be that actual on-site installation time. We're looking at a 20, 30-day on-site installation to deliver maybe a project that's 4, 6, 10 million pounds sterling.
And that's like typically in a shipyard in Cadiz, where you've
Correct,
got a 6-week window to do that.
Correct, or
And
less.
And then see your competitors. You're not competing against competitors within a 50-mile radius if your office is in Newry. This is global competitors,
you're
isn't it?
Competing globally, yeah. So you have foreign exchange challenges, you have labour challenges in terms of the portfolio as to where they're bringing their labour from. You know, and how competitive is that going to be against your commercial bid that you're trying to put through too?
And is your labour generally home sourced here in Northern Ireland?
A mix.
Yeah.
So to be obviously competitive, we need to think in terms of not just the labour, but the subcontractors, the supply chain, and look at that worldwide to try and ensure that we're putting our best foot forward too.
Yeah, and I presume the key to it all is pre-construction.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's probably the most time that you actually spend, isn't it? You spend more time pre-construction than you do actually delivering on site.
Fail to prepare and prepare to fail,
Yeah,
as they always say. So
yeah,
very much so.
You can't exactly nip out to the local building supplier or something you forgot. Yeah.
And with the timescales that we have in those 20, 30-day projects, you are very much so down to that prefabrication. So everything that we would do would be fabricated within our workshop. We have a workshop of 100,000 square foot, both in terms of MJM and MyVan. And we would fabricate everything first to make sure it fits, dry fit it, dismantle it again, put it into the containers, and then ship it around the world to then install on site and finally weld it and install it on place. Which is, I suppose, a different nuance there too as well, that we talk about welding and the different technologies that we would have, and on the face of it, the actual fit out and the look of a room is very much similar, but the mindset of, say, a suspended ceiling is not suspended on wires, it's suspended on box section steel.
It's just what's behind it all that we don't see for
yeah.
obviously the different conditions. Yeah. Fantastic.
When's the last time you were on a cruise ship?
Last time I cruised, I think, was about 2 years ago.
What brand?
Who did we go with? It was MSM, and we've done them a few times actually.
Yeah.
And you're very good.
You work for them, do you? You do.
We
do their
haven't
ships?
worked for them yet, which is something that we've tried to do this year. So we've been bidding on their projects since February this year.
Right.
They have been a brand that are very much focused on new build originally, and they're now starting to get to the stage, a bit like an MOT for your car, where your car's due in every year. Cruise ships are due in, depending on the cycles of the brands, 4 or 5 year.
Yeah. And all those cruise ships went from the formal QE2 kind of style to the kind of, is it flexible for cruising, they call it, or freestyle cruising? And then that'll change every 5 or 6 years, and something new will come up, and then they're back in for refurb again. And that's what
I think
you're
it's more the brands have identified their market group themselves. So Queen Elizabeth or Queen Mary would be very much focused on the older generation.
Careful.
Yep.
That what you want, Jared?
Whereas the likes of Virgin Cruises would be focused on adults only, younger generation wanting to just get away from kids.
Right.
So it's just identifying the niche. Royal Caribbean would be very much all-inclusive, entire family, entertainment. And with them, for example, like what you've just touched on, it's around what is the latest, say, restaurant. Is it
Trend
who's the
and all
flavour
those
of the month? Is it pizzas? Is it Indians? Is it what is the flavour of the restaurant that they want to install?
There seems to be a great race as well to have the biggest ship and the best ship, and
Yeah.
you know, see the Royal Caribbean seems to always want to have the biggest.
They have the mindset that every time they always add a metre onto the end of the vessel, even though the class of ship is the same and they're supposed to be copy pastes, but they literally just add a little bit extra on to have the PR for we have the biggest ship.
Yeah, and then you see them now. They've got water parks on them. They've got adventure
They're fantastic.
playgrounds. They've got. I've seen one that's got a mini golf course on them. It's crazy what's
Go-kart
happening.
tracks,
Yeah, go-kart tracks.
ice
Yeah,
rinks, theatres, you name it. They're massive cities at sea.
it's just a floating city, isn't it? Yeah,
Some of these things are holding 5,000-6,000 people.
yeah.
The average cruise ship is 2,000 passengers, and you would have a mindset of, you know, is that going to be crowded? Is it going to be compact? Is it going to be tight? I suppose yes, if you're going to some particular event within the ship on a given day that you want to see, yes, you will have a few tens of people, 100 people standing around you, but the general vibe on the ship would be space.
Yeah.
You know, you still have your own space.
And is that it maxed out? Kind of at 4,000 guests? You know, basically with harbour infrastructure.
Yeah.
Would have thought that's it fairly maxed out at that.
Yeah.
Even draft, water
6,000
depth.
for the Oasis class.
And see at Allure of the Seas, did you do it?
Yeah, just finished it there in the summer. So it was a project we just completed in Cadiz in Spain.
Right.
And originally it was to be done just before COVID, but then obviously COVID hit, delayed it ever so slightly. It had its own challenges with the impact of the fallout, I suppose, and the stall within the industry,
Yeah.
which is, I suppose, a lovely talking point as to what that meant for us within the...
Yeah, I think that's worth delving into, because really the industry collapsed with COVID
Did.
and took quite a while to recover. So tell us how that impacted the business, the turnover, obviously a lot of staff layoffs. How did the business react to that, and how, more importantly, how did the business get out of that? What was the strategy to actually recover?
Well, initially for us, and I remember this even to the very day now, is that series of emails that we received overnight on the 17th of March 2020 to say,
Sure, yeah, everybody.
63 million of turnover just stopped,
Just gone.
and that was it. One particular client closed shop basically, and they wanted to then try and figure out how do they recover that money, provided, like we talked about, you know, it's an awful lot of prefabrication. How do they recover maybe some of those materials back to supply chain, doing a series of due diligence to then try and provide them the best solution that we can to then be at the front for the next time that they do open the doors.
Wasn't it the industry actually got hit worst at the start?
was,
Wasn't
yeah.
there a ship that like left in January time?
The
And
Princess vessel in Japan was the
Yeah.
biggest
In fact,
impact one over the
I seen
years.
that on Netflix. There's a whole documentary about it, and it literally was a catastrophe for
It
your
was.
industry.
There was tens of people sadly passed on that vessel in Japan.
There was talk at the time that the cruise industry was gone, was dead.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
That's your
recover.
industry.
It was.
So how did you react to that? Did you think we needed to diversify? Did we do something else to get back into standard construction? What was the mindset whenever that happened?
Unfortunately, it was a look at it initially to go, where do we see the industry going? How, talking to the cruise companies themselves, how do they see it? They were equally as unaware as what we were, because of everything that was happening at the time. And there was this period of a lull for a good maybe 6 months of unknowing what's happening, why is it happening. Sadly, we had a series of redundancies that had to take place, where the workforce dropped down to 100 staff and
From
400, just under 400.
all
So
based effectively out in Newry there.
all based out of Newry and our Polish office at the time.
Right.
We still do have the Polish office and factories and so on. So it was a sad series of events, especially for Brian, having built it up over the years from the initial concept back in the joinery business to what it became as a turnkey outfitting contractor. And it was sad for him to see it. it's now into a second generational business with Neve and Conliffe, but we had those lull of the 6 months. We then went into a period where the cruise companies and Royal Caribbean specifically came to us and said, right, well, here's how we're going to try and get back into the waters. And it was about perception, and everything is about perception, I suppose, where they were trying to sell to their clients that their cruise ships were safe. So how do you do that? Well, they talked about the COVID secure medical facilities. So they built COVID, once somebody became infected, they then put them into the COVID secure wards, which then we were involved in the hospitals and in building those hospitals. And that was across 20, 30 odd ships.
That's a mini hospital
within the vessel.
And
Secure,
these all
yeah.
almost secured, isn't clean rooms or positive
Correct.
pressure to stop
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so
Climate
massive investment as
controls.
well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was good for us.
I
Created
thought it was
turnover in
that's
business.
fast track work for you quickly.
Exactly,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
So we didn't factor anything in the first year.
Yes.
Our initial business plan was we weren't going to do any work in.
Yeah, see,
20
during
years.
that 6 to 12 months, obviously the industry collapsed, workload stopped.
It
I
did,
mean,
yeah.
Brian's a typical entrepreneur, he's not going to stand still.
Nope,
So
he didn't.
what is his plans? How did he, what was his agility like to actually change direction or to look at the future?
Well, the challenge back to ourselves within the business was how do we look at the business and think smarter and work better. We looked at business processes, so we set up a business systems team, which is now maybe 10 people within the team currently. So we looked at softwares, we looked at technology, we looked at processes and procedures as to how do we streamline and improve our service. And we have incorporated various different platforms, AIs, document management systems, etc., within the business now that have helped. And that was the initial challenge. As we touched on there with the hospitals, the industry started to pick up faster than we expected. And the business started to regrow again, and people started to cruise. Whilst it was limited at that time, if you recall, instead of a 2,000 passenger ship, they were limited to maybe 40% occupancy, and they had different levels of occupancy rates on it.
Mm.
So would you say COVID's, looking back now, has actually improved your business?
It has.
Yeah, I've
Massive.
heard a lot of people saying that.
Yeah.
Because it's give us every time to reflect, look at their business, look at, sometimes our business going forward, you don't get time to look backwards, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually see where maybe you can improve and, make yourself more efficient and
Yeah.
get better output. So
You hear the term, disaster recovery plan. I would have heard that before, but you kind of think, you'll never really need that.
yeah.
But I think people realise you do.
We had, it was one of Brian's, remember various different meetings whenever the business was smaller and you had that more personal one-to-one relationship with Brian. We would have had conversations from a commercial aspect as to what he called the doomsday plan. As a small business, growing business, over the years he did have, I suppose, a couple of instances where he came close to the wire, growing the business. And COVID then, because of the plans and the experience out of that, the preparation then set him right for as best as he could for COVID.
It does. We always talk about how you learn from your failures, not your successes. So it's those hard times that actually builds that resilience, isn't it? And builds that, I always call it, agility to react quickly. That's what a real entrepreneur's about. No matter what situation happens, no matter how bad it is, you look for the opportunities, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian's a key one for that.
Oh, he is
The
always
initial
around for it,
story
yeah.
of how MGM, I suppose, even came about was showcasing his entrepreneurial
Yeah.
skill set, where, as I say, it was originally a joinery company. We were doing works for various different land-based contractors, and in a way working to my van and various other
Yeah.
Grahams of the world before. And one stage he was taking the van across from Belfast across to mainland UK, and he was on the ferry, and as you do, go up to the bar and see a few of the guys at the bar getting food and drinks, and he just asked the barman, where was this bar built? How did this come about? It's a joinery, it's a nice piece of joinery work here. Where'd you get this? And that started to open a few doors with senior superintendents on board. A few conversations happened, and then we got invited to bid on ferry works. And then the ferry works grew and grew and led to...
How long goes that, Jonathan? You talking?
Oh, that's in the 80s, late 80s, I would say, in terms of those initial ferry conversations. And then he took maybe about 10 years of trips going backwards and forwards to Miami, where ultimately all the cruise brands are held.
Yeah.
And whilst it's a global industry, it's ultimately 85% of the industry is run by 3 brands, which is Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Lines, NCL as we call them, and Carnival Corp. And they own so many subsidiary brands that you really need to talk to them 3 parties to then get into the tendering process with the others. And it was really meeting people there to start conversations, the awareness, the brand awareness, what we can do, how we can do it.
So how does an estimator get the skill set to price the job? Where do they learn that skill, or how does it differ from the normal construction industry where you're bricks and blocks and concrete?
Obviously the technology aspect's different, but part of that is the on-site training, where we would we would recommend that once you join the company, for the first project you work on, you go out and you see it, and seeing it's believing it nearly, I suppose, in our game, where you understand what exactly you mean by a bulkhead, what you mean by a deck head, what you mean by a penetration, a USPH, all the various different aspects.
So you'll send staff to the shipyards to see the actual works happening, the construction process,
So see, you take your last quantity surveyor there that would have been recruited. Would they come out of one of the local colleges here? And then if they join your firm, talk us through like what would have been the process there from them joining the company? Would have done an in-house induction, 6 weeks in the company, gone round a couple of the departments, and then as you said, they might go to site, which is one of the ships. Yeah.
So there's 2 different, I suppose, approaches. COVID has made us look at the younger generation to build the company again with a younger generation. So we have a navigate scheme for the younger people coming in through from the colleges or through the apprenticeships side with the local colleges and the universities, to bring staff in that way and train them right from first principles as an exposure to the construction industry all the way through to being a fully seasoned contracts manager, QS, programmer, whatever it is.
See to touch on that, because we touched on this last time with Dominic Lavery from Farron's. Tell us a bit more about your Navigate. What's that Navigate initiative you've run there, Jonathan? I think that's interesting. What age group is that pitched at? Is there Navigate Juniors? Am I right in saying that as well?
There's 2 different routes. There's the Navigate program as a whole, which is what we've branded it as to all the various different students throughout, whether it's their full-time university career or whether they're leaving school and going to college to do a HLA apprenticeship. And we have either a 5-year pathway for those guys doing the college route, or we have the 1 to 2 year pathway for people who are going through the university program, doing their 1 year placement, come back after full-time qualification graduation, and then they do 1 year postgrad to get up to the level that we would look at them to be as a project QS or a project estimator.
So if I get that right, you've the traditional route of the person comes out of the traditional university degree, probably done their placement year, and then great, they head into the world of work, or you're facilitating the degree apprenticeship route. Am I right in saying that?
5-year plan, yeah.
So that's over 5 years. They're going to college. What is it? 1 day a week?
1 day a week in college, 4 days with ourselves in the industry.
And that's a structured path.
Correct.
Around your company then, isn't it?
Correct.
So it's like a fast track training program.
Correct.
Within the company.
So we would have a 5-year plan for them that's based on a series of competencies, and within those competencies then we have a series of deliverables that we would expect them to achieve communication wise for both parties. You know, what we need to do, like anything, you set a plan, the plan always changes depending on the opportunities you're given. So we would have a plan as to how they achieve maybe a quantification skill set. We want to achieve the basic level in that by end of year 1, experienced level by end of year 3 maybe, or whatever it is. And we then set a series of smarter targets to then try and get the individual tied to their specific projects they're working on and make it specific to them, to then review it at the end of each month with their individual senior estimator, senior QS that they're reporting to. And then they would sit down with myself once a quarter, tying in with some of the universities would run the RICS accompanied and sponsored programs for the degree courses, and as part of that we would have to adhere to their requirements, and I would be classified as a supervisor. There's another colleague of mine who's classified as a counsellor, and we would then support them on the once a quarter basis at those interviews to review the smarter targets with them.
And see, as it goes on from year 1, 2, 3, you're also working out the direction of travel for the person. This
Correct,
person's got to be more suited as a surveyor. This person's more a contract management type person. We're seeing a pattern here, aren't we?
We are, absolutely, and something the industry has to look at. And as you and I both know, you've been involved in the CATB. Something we're looking at quite actively is how do we change the industry? You know, does that whole training system and apprenticeship system have to change? Well, we see, forget about what arm's length bodies is doing, the private sector's doing it.
So there's 2 weeks in a row, a leading construction industry company. There's a pattern there of moving towards that internal training degree apprenticeship route, but they have to get it right in-house, and if it works, it goes well.
And it's great for staff retention, I presume, as well.
It is, and it's fantastic for ourselves to have those guys coming out and girls coming out of a course with 5 years experience, qualified as a QS, estimator, contracts manager, but also having that real life MGM specific experience for us within the marine industry, which is priceless in terms of that awareness of the technologies, the regulations.
I don't think construction technology at Ulster does cruise ships. From what
No.
I remember, no, I don't think it's on their syllabus.
But at the end of the day, it's
Maybe
ultimately down to
But
first
it's
principles.
But it's the same principles. It's just as you say, it's what's behind it all.
It's
What the structure
understanding
is.
you're thinking about. I would always talk about the buckets, you know, in terms of design, workshop, site, materials, subcontractors, breaking it down into component pieces that if we can get the individual navigator thinking about those components and asking questions around those components and the awareness to go and challenge their peers too as well in different departments, then that pushes them on, and we would encourage them that no question's ever a silly question, and folks, my favourite line to them would be, you stand still, you fall behind. We want you to push on, and we want you to challenge us. And there has been things that thankfully they have identified too as well that has challenged even myself to go, right, is that the right way we do that process? Could we slightly change it? And they have helped suggest items that have improved ourselves and streamlined subcontractor selection, for example. Identification of processes in terms of how we do our pre-qualifications as well.
And how many people's on the Navigate programme?
Oh, good question. Currently within commercial, we have, I think, 8 within commercial. And then there is people within design, workshop, contracts, as project managers, so various different aspects of the business.
And he's also taking on those traditional apprenticeships, the joiners, etc., and the finishing guys, so that's a whole mixture right through the spectrum.
Are you getting a gender balance out of that, out of interest, Jonathan Rees?
We try to, yes, and I suppose as last maybe year or so, we've seen more of a balance on that, and an awareness that the females within the industry are seeing it as an industry that they can go into and work within. And Jonathan, your own daughter is part of our company at the moment.
I have to declare an interest here, you know.
I must have overlooked that at the start of the podcast, never heard that.
I've done, my daughter's doing a year out with you, and you have a very strong gender balance this year in particular. There's a lot of females in the industry, which is great to see, you know.
What's she doing?
Quantity surveying.
Quantity surveying. Is she doing is it her placement? Did you say?
She's doing her placement year, yeah.
Out of, was she UU?
Yeah, she is indeed, so.
Quantity surveying, brilliant. How's she getting on?
Great.
How could you not, Jared, with the great genes she has in the background, you know?
We have her,
is she keeping you on your toes, is she?
She is.
I would say so.
We have her working as part of teams
welcome to my world.
on a couple of projects at the moment, both in terms of Carnival and with Virgin Cruises. So a couple of brands that are younger generational brands to keep her aware too.
Very good.
So something that'll not go to site until Q1 next year. But then at that time, she'll get the site exposure. So it's all about the prefabrication stage, the design stage, the awareness of that now to build a project. And even for the likes of somebody coming in on a placement, that's where the likes of ourselves, because of the speed we operate at and the project turnaround from initial phone call inviting us to an RFQ to a final account agreement, you could be looking at 9 months. So for project turnover and for experience for them as students in the whole Navigate brand, they get a wide range of experience, and that repetition then builds their exposure.
So they will see it through from that initial conception right through to the
Correct,
delivery
yeah.
on site. Yeah. Well, I think it's quite important, because I think a lot of people go wrong in the construction industry by not getting the pre-construction side right. That is absolutely crucial. That whole programming, planning, getting it all lined up, looking for the problems before they happen, get the mitigation process in place, and that's where a lot of companies do fail. Whereas you've no option. You have to succeed.
We
You have to get it right, so therefore it makes your pre-construction extremely strong.
Exactly.
Which
Like
is-
if we ever, God forbid, touch wood, if we ever have an issue where the project is going to run late, the cruise brand themselves cannot have 1 day of an extension of time.
What happens there?
You have 2,000 or 4,000 people standing on a quayside wall waiting on their cruise ship.
But
And
is
you
there,
have a big
is there
liquidated damages there, I
massive
presume?
damages there, is there?
Ironically, no. Liquidated damages, whilst they are present in the contracts and they are there, it is more the reputation and the brand reputation that is the problem, both from the cruise perspective as well as our own
And your reputation.
perspective.
Yeah.
And that would just kill you with that brand, that
But-
you will not get another
But surely it
tender option.
happens, something goes wrong, maybe not by your problem, but something surely goes wrong somewhere on the line that these things
There's
are
challenges.
delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you have to do? You just have to accelerate and do what you can?
You
or-
look at various different options for acceleration. You look at working 24-hour shifts instead of 12-hour shifts. You look at air freight instead of sea freight. You look at local alternative materials as a temporary fix, maybe to try and fill the hole, so to speak. And then you return at a later date with the correct materials or the correct components, whatever it is you need to do, and remove and then reinstall
okay.
out of in service, out of hours type.
And can it happen? A ship can pull out and you've got a squad of men working away somewhere in the background that's not
It
seen?
can happen, yeah. Thankfully, it doesn't happen that often, which is one of the good qualities of ourselves that we would brand ourselves on, is that we would push an awful lot of that quality in terms of we deliver on time, so to speak, every time. There is still, let's say, challenges within the industry that whenever we had COVID, they obviously, within the client side, they changed their pre-construction teams quite a bit too as well, with staff retention, and lost an awful lot of key players. So with regrowing the industry, there is equally a challenge on them guys to get up to speed with marine industry technologies and awareness and
Yeah.
fill in the gap between spaces. So whilst they tender restaurant A, restaurant B and bar A, it's the space between that seems to fall through the void every time in terms of that tender analysis. And they then talk to the contractors maybe 2-3 days before the end of the project. Has anybody any spare labour, any spare materials to go and fix the little gaps as a riding crew?
And tell me, what form of contracts used?
Bespoke.
Bespoke, pure, very bespoke. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
bespoke. Each cruise company nearly have their own contract and form of contract. So some of them are based on the principles of your JCT and NEC, and where some of the cruise companies don't have their own contracts, we would try and suggest here's our adopted contracts, which are fundamentally built on those principles.
Yeah, but that's your own bespoke contract again.
Bespoke contracts, yeah.
And you're training your guys on those forms of contract when they come into your company?
Trying to, yeah. The nuance in them and the refreshing aspect of them is they're very short. So some of the cruise companies operate under the principle of a purchase order and a series of T's and C's. It's basically similar to you providing 100 rolls of toilet roll, but you're then providing a turnkey service to supply and install a restaurant. And you have a challenge of going backwards and forwards on terms and conditions that way.
And where does jurisdiction lie within the contracts?
Similar to what we talked about earlier with the 3 brands being Florida based, it's the state of Florida would be the jurisdiction.
So if you get into a dispute,
You're into the state of
you're
Florida,
into the state of Florida to actually...
which brings the American challenges and
Yeah.
the claims conscious type
So
approach.
avoid a claim at all costs, really.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose the marine industry is very refreshing, that it is a very much work together to get the job delivered.
Yeah.
And claims, thankfully, are few and far between. In the 10 years I've been with the company, we've only had 2 extension of time discussions and the challenges that that has presented.
So this is down to relationships, building collaborative relationships. Yeah, that's more
The
important.
partnership aspect.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Very much so.
Quick question, Jonathan, just between the three of us here. You mentioned Virgin, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, all the big ones. You must get some great perks in the
I
job,
wish.
do you?
I wish that the perks for ourselves wouldn't be necessarily within the cruise ship themselves and getting a free cruise as such. It's more the destinations you get to go and see and experience. One of the perks that I personally had myself was I was in Miami for meetings in April, and I was asked by the clients team if I could stay on an extra week.
Mm-hmm.
And very quickly I decided, no problem. The Formula One is in town this weekend in Miami. I will gladly stay an extra week and
Very
go
good
to
of
the
you.
Formula One.
Very good of you.
So, yep, I rang home, told the wife I'm staying, and went to the Formula One.
Was that a quick phone call?
It was a very quick phone
I'm
call.
staying
yeah.
by.
You winked at me there. I could have swore there's more to that story, but you can tell me that after.
Yeah.
Well, you don't think it'd be a really good idea to incentivize staff, to particularly the year outs, to have a good staff discount for cruises and family and friends?
We have
No?
tried conversations with them, with the various different brands.
Hasn't
and
worked. No.
Hasn't worked too much. The Royal Caribbean, for example, would have a very big staff discount for their own staff. We have tried to enter into discussions to get them to extend that to their contractors, but at the moment,
Hasn't worked. Oh, well.
We have had a few perks coming out of Virgin, ironically, too, as well, with competition for charity and so on, where they've offered up free cruises to our charities, which has been nice of them.
Very
to
good.
help.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about yourself, Jonathan. So, where do you live then at the moment? You're travelling down in Newry. You're a County Antrim man then, aren't you?
Originally from Ballymena,
Ballymena, yeah.
and then met a Belfast girl, moved to Lisburn,
Where did you meet her?
Ballycastle, of all
Ballycastle,
places. Yeah.
right.
On a lads' night out, and
Stag doing Ballycastle.
no, just a boys' trip down somewhere different to have a look at, and yeah, met across a bar and got talking, and that was it.
Very good.
History.
And you now live in Lisburn.
Living in Lisburn, happily there as last since, well, a year before Patent Grip went into administration. We just moved there, which was a challenge because in those times when we moved into the house, it was within a year of moving in, we had a 1-year-old at that stage, and whenever they went into administration, it was a difficult time for us all. Thankfully, I got an opportunity a few weeks before I finished with patents. They had kept me on through the administration process to help the administrators, being a quantity surveyor, and picked up the job with MGM before I left, and then started with MGM in the new year.
So you were living in Lisburn, travelling to Ballymena at that stage.
Yeah, which was an hour's commute each way.
Mhm.
And now I always look at the people going into Belfast every morning as I drive out of Belfast, direction out of Lisburn, heading southbound
Mhm.
to Newry, and it takes me 30 minutes door to door.
30 minutes. And are you down there 5 days a week?
4
Working
days
from
a week.
home? 4 days a week, yeah.
4 days a week, 1 day working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be is the kind of the mindset of the policy. We have a little bit of flexi time in that too as well, where we can manage a start and a stop time. We have kind of half day finishes on a Friday too as well, so it helps that work-life balance,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we go away. You know, you're challenged because of those dry dock durations. You're in dry dock for, let's say, 3 weeks. You're working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge. You know, just the first few days is okay, but when you get into day 7, day 10, just
Yeah,
the
it
repetition.
drags. And if the guys are in dry dock doing the work, do they stay in the cruise ships?
Stay and live on board, yeah.
So that's very insular as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It
And what do
is.
they do if they're working a 12-hour day? How do they pass their 12 hours? Like, do they not look to work longer hours, or how do they? What do they do?
We
Or do you work them that hard? They just sleep for 12 hours?
Usually the team then bonds quite a
I would
bit
say so,
over
yeah.
that. And what we tend to do is after we finish at 7 in the evening, some of us, when the office staff, would usually walk the floors to then look and get pieced to look at the construction, see how we've moved on, do a photographic survey, etc., try and inspect some items that we need to look at for the next day and plan the works. Then it's usually dinner, evening dinner in the main restaurants.
So the cruise
On the
ships
ship.
operate their facilities to
Exactly, yeah.
to feed the guys.
So
and
you have a
all that, yeah.
buffet dinner
Yeah.
every morning,
Ah,
lunch
very
and
good,
evening, and then you would have a contractor's bar in the evening just to placate the time too as well.
And there could be other contractors on the ship at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
multinationals from everywhere around the world. You have Italians, Scandinavians, Americans,
Yeah.
wherever the cruise company's from too as well.
And that's a different company that are doing a fit out or refurb of a different section of the ship,
Correct, yeah.
and they're all sharing the same facilities there too, and
Yeah.
it's fine, works, yeah.
Yeah,
So usually prepare all your specialist joinery as much of it prefabricated as you can.
yeah.
And that gets shipped from where? From Newry
From Newry, yeah.
to wherever the other port is, yeah.
Correct.
It's usually just freighted, or would you actually charter ships, or what way does that work?
Mostly 20-foot or 40-foot containers.
Okay.
The preference would be 20-foot containers. So dismantle everything down, pack it, wrap it, stick it into a 20-foot container. In special circumstances, because of short lead-in times or whatever has happened to cause the acceleration, you look at air freight then, and you go into standard air size freight crates, which are obviously a lot smaller than
Yeah.
you can fit 12 air freight crates into a 20-foot container. So the cost differential is huge.
Can imagine.
It
yeah.
costs the same to ship an air freight crate to say Miami as it does to ship a 20-foot container. So to ship the same quantum of goods in one container is 12 times the cost. Never mind the special items, the likes of, we would partner in a bit with Ulster Carpets. They would do an awful lot of carpet supply within the cruise industry. And to ship an air freight, a carpet roll, is very, very costly because there's only certain planes can take a roll of carpet 4, 6,
Yeah,
8 meters
that's-
long,
Yeah.
and it then gets very costly very quickly.
Must be very interesting for the estimators, because it's not just about pricing the project, it's actually the
Yeah.
logistics is the key to it, isn't it?
It is.
And understand how that all works and the dynamics of that. So
You can have contractors, supply chain that's pricing products to you from all over the world. That, you know, you could have a product in, let's say, Spain that is half the price of a product in England, but to air freight it or ship it from Spain to the Bahamas is 3 times the cost of
Yeah.
shipping it out of England. So you have to look at not just the cost of the line by line comparison, but the impact of foreign exchange currencies, freight, lead in time.
what about customs?
That's
Must be a real challenge.
Yeah, especially now with obviously the Brexit, I suppose, too, as well, with the labour base and the challenges that presents. But customs on its own, most of the time we would ship under DAP, which is DDP, delivery to door to port, delivery at door at place. So you would have a differentiation there as to who's responsible for customs and duties. And we would try, well, not we would try, the industry as a whole would be recognised that the client themselves would be responsible for the customs and the duties, because they're the ones that's specifying the materials and pushing, we want that particular laminate or that particular chair from such and such a place, which then has their own challenges. So
Yeah.
they would be responsible for that.
But surely that's a big risk as well for deliveries.
It is. It's huge.
Yeah.
Because once they specify that particular chair from a contractor in Sweden or America, that has its own problems logistically and timing to ensure it gets there on time.
And what sort of software do you use to do your project management to actually track all of that?
We have 2 different software pieces. One at the front end, which is the CRM piece for looking at our client management piece. And then we have Microsoft Dynamics 365 for the actual documentation management. Procore 2 from drawings and on-site inspections and
You're
photographs.
using Procore there, are you?
Correct, yeah.
And that's very much a construction management software,
It
isn't it?
is, yeah.
How do you find it?
Good, brilliant from a site perspective, where you can interact with the drawings live and mark those up on the iPads, send them back to base, and for example, I can be sitting in the office, again touching on the technology piece, but I can sit in the office and look at them drawings marked up live. I can then through a WhatsApp video call, a Teams call, various different means of technologies, interact with the teams on site and see things where pre-COVID that wasn't really there.
Okay.
And technology has come a massive way since COVID.
I was doing a little bit of research on it, and it seemed to be it works well for the larger contractors and larger projects. So I can see how it fits in with you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's great for multiple people having to access the same information. I think that's really what the key is, having that central source.
But for those larger contractors more so, than SMEs.
And tell me, what about defects? Something goes wrong, how do you fix it?
Never happens, Jonathan, never happens.
That's what we all say in construction. What defects?
Yeah, you ultimately plan for 0 snags, 0 defects, but there's always something that happens somewhere.
Is there a maintenance crew on the ship anyhow that'll deal
There
with
is.
day-to-day stuff?
The ships have their own riding crews and their own maintenance teams just to deal with the challenges of day-to-day operational life with 2,000 passengers coming through the doors every day, 7 days a week. We would then have the mindset that 24 hours before handover, we do a de-snag ourselves, clarify the space, make sure that we've gone through it, try and cover as many of those problems as we can and close them out. There is potentially a few items that we're maybe not going to have the materials there in hand. So we then look at, well, how do we plan that? Where's the ship going to? And you have to think logistically then too as well in terms of what's the itinerary for the vessel? Where's it going? When's it going there? And trying to then plan your labour and your materials to go to those destinations and coordinate. We had a fairly large project there with Royal Caribbean last summer, and we had a 12-month defect period on it where, in agreement with the client, we talked about consolidating all the defects into one visit. And that was there during this summer where we went back and we attended just to close out all the issues.
Is that it in dry dock for a certain period or just happens to be in
service?
In service.
So they then have let's say the pain of closing down those particular venues, which ultimately they don't want to do and we don't want to do from a brand perspective, again, from both sides.
Yeah.
But if a major defect hits, you literally could have 2 guys on a plane
Straight
that
away.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a condition precedent clause within the contract that talks about 48 hours because there is a given that to go to Singapore, for example, it's going to take you 14, 16 hours on a plane to get there through the various different links to get there. And to organise that, to get things going, it is going to be 48 hours from that initial phone call to you getting on board to try and rectify
I
something.
think that's pretty impressive to get somebody to Singapore 48 hours to one phone call. Yeah.
Now, with the worldwide contact and global database that we do have, you have contacts around the world, and thankfully we've built that portfolio over the years that we have people based in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, America, even out as far as Hawaii too as well, to try and react to the ships because the ships can be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
We're obviously stuck in Newry all the time. We can't be reactive to it.
Your location's actually pretty good when you think about it. You're
It's
halfway
fantastic.
between Belfast, which is a huge port, likewise with Dublin, and you're sitting on the motorway. You're sitting with Warren Point. Do you ship out of Warren Point out of
We
interest?
can,
Yeah.
We ship out of Belfast, Warren Point and Dublin.
Yeah, you're an hour from both airports.
Yeah.
So you're actually in an ideal location.
Ideal location.
Certainly are,
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it is. And even time zone wise, when you think about it from a logistical time zone, there's projects I've been involved in where the client and the job has been live in Singapore or even Hong Kong for that matter. So they're at their end of their working day. We can be at lunchtime, our time, and America's waking up. So the office staff from the client side are waking up to join a call at 8 a.m. their time. We're sitting at 1 a.m. our time, and they're sitting on board the ship at maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night. And it's just everybody's on the same call then. So time zone logistically is also another
That
bonus
helps,
point for ourselves.
Let's take a step back then. The company itself, how many employees is there?
Currently in around about 300, 350
That's MJM.
MGM staff, permanent MGM staff between office and workshop staff.
And then looking at your turnover, you've had a really good year this year.
Really good year, 24 going into 25.
Turnover of circa 150 million.
Predominantly driven by one particular project, which was
One
a
project's
key
driven that.
milestone project for not just ourselves but for the industry. There was a new client within the industry as last year called Cruise Saudi, where the Saudis were getting involved within the cruise industry, and they bought into a vessel that came out of the back of an administration through COVID, where Star Cruises went into administration and they bought one of their new build vessels. They procured that, took that into dry dock in Germany, and we worked on it for close to 6 months, working on the conversion from their style for a Chinese market to what has then become a Saudi market.
Is that like a full strip out then, really, is it?
Full strip out. We had all the cabins done. We were involved in 95% of the public space, let's call it, not the crew side. The crew side obviously is more the engineering plant and the operational side. Operationally, they dealt with that. We dealt with the public spaces.
Are you on that ship then effectively as the principal contractor?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so it's effectively a construction site and a ship,
Correct.
and you've got all of your health and safety protocols. You are the contractor there.
Yeah.
What is the protocols around that then, the likes of health and safety? You're getting the HSE landing and saying we're coming to look around, or does that happen
Maybe they do.
within the local ports? Or
Depends on the country you're in, depending on the government you're working for. So, for example, in Spain, you'll have the Spanish government turn out on board the vessels. Same in France, Germany. They'll always send a representative. Some of the other nationalities, like the Bahamians or the Singapore dry docks, you would have the dry dock themselves. They would have their own health and safety
of
teams.
their own, yeah.
And you have to be responsible to their conditions because you're in their yard. Ultimately, you do work to your own health and safety standards, which thankfully within the UK is a high standard in its own right. So we would adopt that principle on all dry docks that we operate on, or all in-service projects we operate on, to deliver to that standard. And then that meets...
And he's following the same processes. He's still doing the risk assessments, the method
Yeah.
statements.
Still do all the same processes.
So it's just a building site,
Just
as
a
far
building
as you're
site.
concerned.
Yeah.
Building site to building site. Just this one floats.
This one floats.
And let's go back to the Saudi one. Very interesting. £100 million project delivered in 6 months.
Delivered in 6 months.
And you said it was going to redefine the cruise industry. I presume this the Saudi royal family's really been the
Yeah.
client here.
So-
What's the difference in that project? Just setting new standards, is it?
Ultimately, they were wanting to develop a cruise brand for Saudis themselves. And the difference for them was there was no gambling, no bars on the ship. It was all coffee bars. So we converted 22 bars that served alcohol to 22 bars that served coffee and various different drinks.
I don't think we're booking that one anytime soon, Jared.
Right, okay.
Wouldn't
The standard of it was very high too as well, in terms of their finishes and their expectations. Obviously they had money and they wanted to spend it, they wanted to showcase it. So the classification of the marble and I suppose the nuance that brings in with the weight that they were adding. How do you then install that on a ship without pulling the drag of the vessel down? So we were having to install it onto, say, honeycomb aluminium that then cut the thickness of the marble down, still give it the same look, but it give the weight savings as such.
So when you're doing the projects, how much of the design element is your responsibility? Is the weight element your responsibility? Are you giving a maximum weight of entire fit out, or is there design done by others that you're...
Depends on the contract. In most of the cases, the design is ultimately client's responsibility. They have their own architecture teams, design technical aspects too as well, with Foreship of the World and various different technical companies that would come in and advise on them weight calculations and stability.
So a lot of that's done for you.
A lot of it's done for us.
And I presume the joinery side of it is the shop drawings is your responsibility.
It's our responsibility. So we would look at, let's say, production drawings. So they give us the conceptual ideas under a rendering, and then we turn that into a production drawing to say this is how you make your unit.
You've got a smile on your face. I presume that's a massive challenge at times.
It is a huge challenge.
So a designer's dream is what you have to turn into reality, and sometimes I
is.
presume that's quite a big challenge.
But
Yeah.
see, go back a step on that, Jonathan. Do you say it's £100 million, roughly, that contract there?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a seriously glossy project to have won.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine every fit-out contractor in the world would love to have won that contract.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys won it, based in Newry. That's a massive success story.
It was a massive coup.
And how did you win it? Was that through negotiation? Was it past performance? That was huge for your firm there.
It was a series of all of those, and including the brand awareness at the conferences that I mentioned earlier. You know, where all the fit out companies are showcasing their capabilities at these conferences. They are hearing, because it is a global industry, but it is very small in terms of the people, as I touched on, the 3 brands. It's very small there too as well, that they can basically talk amongst themselves. And Cruise Saudi coming into it, we're touching on some ex-employees within those brands to then get that communication across who should be going on to the preferred bidder list. And then communication, discussions, entering into a series of negotiations in effect then at the end.
But that's worldwide competitors there, and yous have come out on top.
Correct. Which is
Serious
fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah, it really is. And I presume the market's not price sensitive. It's not the lowest prices winning these jobs, because there's more to it, isn't there?
There is, but like everything, money
talks, obviously, yeah.
It does. And
But
today's
quality
no
and
different.
reputation carries a lot.
Quality
of weight,
and
I presume.
reputation carries a lot. And with the future of the industry, the way it's going, an awful lot of new brands are getting into it. Like the way we talked there with Cruise Saudi. We have hotel chains like Ritz-Carlton have now got into the industry there as last 4 or 5 years, and they've now started to operate brands. There is other hotel chains that are now going to start to expand into it. River cruising is going to be a big expansion focus point within the next 2-3 years too as well, with a lot of the cruise companies wanting to go into river cruising. It's a
Down the
niche.
Rhine, typically here, you're
Exactly.
talking,
Yeah.
yeah?
So they're looking at cruise vessels or river cruise vessels that they want to get into.
Yeah.
Tell us, again, a little bit more about you, Jonathan. Any interesting hobbies or anything? What do you get up to in your spare time outside of all this construction work?
Try to, I suppose, de-stress by going running and jogging, which is a morning pastime of mine, where I get up first thing in the morning at 5:30, walk my dog, go for a quick run,
You did it
get
this
back
morning,
in,
did you?
and get wide awake, ready for the day ahead.
Yeah.
And that just, for me, I don't run with headphones or anything like that. I just clear the mind, and it just settles myself to then prioritise what's important for that day and cleanse the thoughts, I suppose. Evening time, not as much. It's more kids. I have 2 young girls, and it's focusing on their hobbies and pastimes, which is running from club A to club B and and being the daddy and driving from here to there.
Yeah. What age are the 2 girls?
14 and 11 now, so
yeah,
both
wow.
into secondary school and taking up lots of pastime hobbies, and now starting to look at discos and so on too.
Oh, the boyfriends won't be far away.
I know, I'm trying to prolong that as much as possible.
From valor 3 daughters, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You've already been through all that.
Well, won't say I'm through it yet, but I'm there.
Still going through it.
Yeah.
And tell me, holidays, do you go on the cruise? Or do you try and avoid it like the plague?
Talking about it,
Oh, you haven't been?
I haven't took the family on a cruise. I've tried to convince my wife into going cruising, but she would get seasick very easy. So she's tried to push it back as far as possible.
What's her preferred holiday?
Just somewhere quiet for a week, 2 weeks.
Just maybe happy walking along the coastline in Donegal.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
You know?
These last few years, it's been motorhoming around Ireland and seeing just various different sights and sounds around here and showing the kids about.
Oh, very good. Do you have a motorhome?
No.
Just rented one. I've done
Just
that a few
rented
times
one,
myself,
yeah.
yeah. I done it back in May. We rented for a week. We done the North Coast 500 around Scotland. It was a fantastic way to spend a week, you know.
It is.
Really is,
It's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Totally cleared the mind from our side. Now that my kids have got to an age where it's, are we there yet? Are we there yet? We just need to get them a wee bit older again and then relaxing a bit more.
Yeah, then go on holidays without them.
Yep, exactly.
I thought it was really interesting story behind that, isn't it? It's really a sector within the construction industry.
It's a sector we don't think about, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
But it is. It's the built environment. It's part of the construction industry, obviously, and it's, as you say, it's the same principles, the same processes, you know, down to your estimating, your health and safety, your procurement. It's all the same. You just happen to be on a building that floats.
Same job description, same
Yeah.
people involved, just
Yeah.
different technology.
And it's a great story, but there's a £100 million job. We hadn't really heard of that. Why? Why are you not singing from the hills about these great ones and what happens? And
Well, we try to. We're obviously maybe talking more from a marketing perspective in America with the different cruise brands and
Yeah.
going on online instead of
Furnish, your market's not here.
no. Although the supply chain is quite a bit here.
Yeah.
We do like 40% of the materials we buy is still based within Northern Ireland.
Is that right? Yeah.
You know, we would help the local.
And see your people
way.
that you're bringing out onto those cruise ships and locally, that's all again within, let's call it 50, 60 mile radius
Yeah.
of Newry, I would have thought,
Yeah.
your whole supply chain. And they're the guys who are actually heading out onto the ships. So it is a local success story.
In terms of the materials, yeah, and the bespoke fabricated items, we would fabricate an awful lot of steelwork, metalwork, fluter type materials that we would buy locally here and ship that around the world. The labour base, depending on the trade and because of the skills base that exists within marine, we don't have as much of it here now in Northern Ireland as we used to. We did try at one stage, and we had the success of obviously bringing Azamara Pursuit into Belfast in 2018, where we successfully completed a 3-month job there in Harn and Wolff in Belfast, which was fantastic for the local economy and
Sure.
the local skills base. But the challenge was actually trying to find some of the specialist trades, and those guys unfortunately are Scandinavian, French, Spanish, Italian, where the new build yards exist.
Yeah. I think there's a common theme here to all these podcasts we're doing. Continually we hear about Northern Ireland success stories.
Yeah.
We're all punching way above our weight, and we really are making such a difference to the built environment.
Yeah.
But we're not getting the message out there, you know. So it's great to hear this.
Yeah.
Great to hear these stories. And again, you know, a very dynamic family, you know, really pushing the boundaries, entrepreneurs. It's fun. You know, it's a great news story.
Yeah. A lot of these companies are taking lead themselves in bringing in the next generation.
Aren't they? Yeah.
And training them.
And I think that's where the industry's changed so much in recent years. It's that succession planning, isn't it? It really has changed the industry. We're now realising we have to be thinking about the future, bringing the people through, getting the skill set. And it's no longer about employing staff and getting the right people. It's about staff retention. And that's the important bit in building that culture to get the staff and keep the staff. You know,
Yeah.
it's great to hear and what's happening out there. And it's people
Culture's
doing
a
that.
huge thing, yeah.
Culture's massive. Culture's massive. Jonathan, that's been a great hour. Unfortunately, our time has run out. We get to talk all day, but it's been a great subject, you know.
Can we call in and visit you sometime? Wouldn't mind
No
seeing
problem.
the,
On the
seeing
cruise
shop
ship.
floor, how it all happens.
We'd love to do that, actually.
Yeah.
We'd love to do
Cruise
that.
ship would be great.
Be something different, yeah. Just to finish up, from your perspective, where do you want to be in 10 years' time or 15 in the industry? Or how do you want to be remembered?
Wow. I suppose just setting a difference, not just in terms of a project having been worked on. And over the years, I've been thankfully involved in some really good key bespoke projects in my own career, whether that was helping out in Titanic Belfast under the fit out of the exhibition, or National Museums Liverpool, or something to do with maybe one of like the Oasis of the Seas or Allure of the Seas in terms of the large projects that we've been involved in. It's just making a difference maybe with a client to help them, guide them, as well as then I would take an awful lot to do with the Navigate team internally within MGM. And it just, I suppose, lights my fire whenever you have some of the navigators getting through the 5-year plan, wanting to stay on then with ourselves and just progressing. And thankfully we have one guy that has progressed all the way through now to a quantity surveyor level, having worked through from graduate level to intermediate QS to QS, and now he's pushing on to a senior QS. So it's seeing people like that there come through by giving them the guidance to go, okay, he has built his own career, but it's having
You've
the
put him on
thought
the
of
right pathways, yeah.
help guide him. And that just, as I say, gives me that wee...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one final question. Your favourite job, be it on land or sea, is there one that actually sticks out?
I suppose favourite job over all of the years, National Museums Liverpool, in terms of the new build there.
Why was that?
I suppose it was all the various different coverage that it had, both in terms of land, sea, exhibitions, the type of artifacts that it had within it, and it wasn't just the fit out and the professional service that it was doing there, both in terms of discussions with National Museums Liverpool, the Heritage Lottery Fund, the local councils, the architects, and all the people that was involved, and the challenge that that presented from a career point of view and a professional point of view. It was also just seeing it finished and seeing it over the line, and the privilege of standing there at the opening ceremony and having at that stage the Queen walk in and open it and talk to us guys standing there as the delivery team that helped with the exhibition opening, and just being involved in that whole process and being proud of it, I suppose.
Very good.
That was
Excellent.
a key highlight for me.
Great. All right. Jonathan, listen, unfortunately our time's up. It's been a very
Thank
interesting
you.
conversation. Thank you very much.
Really enjoyed it. Good to meet you, Jonathan. Keep in
You
touch.
too.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
So today's guest was Jonathan McGarry from MGM Marine. So on behalf of myself, Jared Graham and Jonathan Payne, thanks for coming. Check out the socials and also check out Specify Hub. And lastly, thank you to Cleaver Float and Rankin for hosting us here today in Belfast.